Thank you. Thank you for everyone joining here physically and all the audience joining online. So it's the first time I've done such a briefing. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, as chairman of the organizing committee of the Hong Kong Sustainability Award, it's my great pleasure to welcome you all to this briefing session and the best practice sharing seminar. Since its establishment in 2016, the Hong Kong Sustainability Award has been providing an invaluable platform for cross-sector sharing of best practice of sustainability. It inspires organizations to integrate sustainability into their operations and culture, and to develop desirable sustainable practices now and into the future. This year, the award organizing committee and board of examiners have once again secured the support from a dedicated group of sustainability advocates. I'm truly grateful to my colleagues for their guidance and invaluable advice in refining the award judging process and criteria. I would first share with you the background and judging process of the award, to be followed by sharing of the judging criteria and application form by our examiner, Ms. Shirley Algaya. Okay. So let me get on with it with the first slide about the objectives of the award. Okay. These are the objectives of the award. To raise awareness of the business community of the importance of sustainability, to give public recognition to organizations demonstrating commitment to sustainability in the operation while achieving good organizational performance, to provide a platform for organizations to benchmark best practices of sustainability, and of course, to recognize business leaders and sustainability experts for their significant contribution to sustainable development of the organization as well as the business community. These are the highlights of the award. I will not read every single word, but one of the first highlights is we took a holistic approach to sustainability, where we consider all three dimensions of sustainability, the economic, social, and environmental aspects of sustainability, and achieving good business performance. The award is developed by a pool of business leaders and sustainability practitioners, and it's appropriate for the Hong Kong business environment. The third highlight, the awards actually it's very general, and many sectors can apply for the award. And in the past, we do have entries from multiple sectors of the industry, as well as schools and etc. So cross-sharing of best practice is one of the highlights. We have three categories of award. One is called the Organization Awards, and it's open for any businesses of varying sizes and business nature. We have the Individual Award category, which recognizes business leaders on how they have contributed to sustainable development of their own organization, as well as the business community. And this year, we have a special recognition award for entries that can provide a good example of the best response for COVID-19, the pandemic. These are the names of the people in the organizing committee, and you can see we have practitioners and management from different sectors of the industry and businesses in Hong Kong. These are the board of examiners. And more examiners, because we have a lot of entries. And finally, the panel of judges will be composed of top management from different fields and industry. So let us go into a little bit of more details on the two categories of awards, individual and organization. So for the individual award, it is intended to recognize business leaders and sustainability experts for their contribution to sustainable development of their own organization, as well as the contribution to the business communities. All entrants must be nominated by the organization, and each organization can nominate one candidate. These are some of the eligibility. The business leaders and sustainability experts needs to be occupy a senior position in the organization and has played a leading role in sustainable development of the organization. And the award, that we have no limit on the number of awardees for the year, and it's up to the entries that we receive. Out of all the distinguished sustainability leader awards, we will actually pick one person amongst all the winners to be the sustainability leader of the year. This is the timeline and judging process. February 21 is the submission of the nomination form. Deadline for application form is 29th of March. First round of judging is between April and June. Final judging in August. And the announcement of the award will be at the award presentation ceremony in November. A little bit of details about the submission and nominations. So we have an online platform to submit. As mentioned earlier, has to be submitted before 1st of February. The nomination form consists of basic information of the nominee. But the nominee are requested to submit first a simple one-page write-up of their own personal information, but most importantly, the 4-page write-up of his or her achievements and contributions, both to the sustainable development of his or her own organization, as well as the business community at large. Okay, and some limitation on how many words there are, etc. And the write-up has to be submitted by 29th of March. Then the Board of Examiners would decide the finalists for the Distinguished Sustainable Leader Award, which then goes into the final judging. And who gets the Distinguished Sustainable Award, as well as the Sustainability Leader of the Year. So that was for individual awards. For organization awards, a similar process. Except the award, it's open to basically all types of organization, whether it's public or in the private sectors. We've listed all here. For the submission, the initiatives or cases mentioned in the submission should be implemented by the participating organization and also launched in the past 2 fiscal or calendar year. And as usual, the award secretariat may request verification of some of the data and information submitted. For the organization award, we have classified into 3 subcategories: large, medium, and small organizations. And these are the numbers, 200 employees above is for large, 51 to 200 for medium, and less than 50 for small. So when I mentioned earlier, one of the highlights of the award is it encourages entries from companies of all sizes. And in fact, if you're in the medium category, for example, you will only be compared and assessed between the peers of the same size. Okay, so if you're a small organization, you will only be competing against a company of a similar size as you, less than 50, for example. And these are the different levels of awards and recognition that we give out. Starting at the bottom, a certificate of excellence will be granted to organization demonstrating outstanding achievement. The Hong Kong Sustainability Award will be granted to organization demonstrating excellent achievement in sustainability. And the Grand Award will be selected from the winners of the Hong Kong Sustainability Award. And once again, is in each category. So small, medium, and large are judged separately to give the highest accolade of recognition for excellent achievement. The special recognition, similar to previous year, we will have three special recognition. These two are from the previous years. One for outstanding sustainability initiative, and the other one is for innovation. So for the outstanding sustainability initiative, as it says here, it was an organization that have implemented initiative, but I just want to highlight with proven positive impact on its business or organization performance. So if you can demonstrate that positive impact has been achieved with an initiative, that will be a good place to showcase it in your application. And innovation, it's the emphasis, as it says, is more around the innovative part of your submission. And the third one is for this year only. It's a special recognition for best response to COVID-19. This is the timeline, and judging process is actually the same dates. Entry form in Feb, application form end of March, first round of judging, final judging, and award presentation in November. Once again, it's the same website, but under organization awards. For organization award, there's a long form, but please do not be scared of the form. It has 6 sections, and we have done it such that each section can be worked on simultaneously by different departments in your organization. Only thing it doesn't allow is a 2-person working on under the same sections. So you can have 6 departments working independently, filling it in. And also at the same time, there is a save for the future. So you don't have to complete everything in one go. You can save the draft and log out. And when you come back, it is still there. Okay. And when you have completed it, there's actually a extra check to make sure you are happy with it before you press the submit button. Okay, and once submitted, the content is fixed and cannot be resubmitted. The judging process is similar. There's a first round of judging, which comes over recommendation for different awards. Those goes to the final judging, where the Hong Kong Sustainability Award will be determined, as well as the Grand Award and special prizes, special awards. The Board of Examiners may conduct site visits when necessary. So sometimes the reports alone and the submission may not tell the full story, and the Board of Examiners may pay a site visits if necessary. And once again, in November 21, there will be the awards presentation ceremony. Judging criteria. Now I pass on to Shirley to help us with the judging criteria.
All right, good. Thank you, Delman. I wanted to remind people that are out there everywhere, please, as I'm going through the judging criteria, it is a long form, but if you see something that I haven't addressed and you wanted more information from myself or maybe from one of the experience sharing partners later, please type it in because I can't cover the entire form. So, but please do type in whatever you have interest in. Okay, So we're first going to talk about the individual awards. The individual awards are for leaders in the field. And these aren't necessarily just sustainability practitioners like myself. They may be executives within your organization. And here's how we break out the criteria. So some of it is personal commitment. What do they as a person bring in to this effort on sustainable development for the organization and for Hong Kong, as well as in what have they achieved. And in this category, you can look at initiatives over a 5-year period, because we know things don't happen short in sustainability. So this one has a 5-year consideration of an initiative. And then general contributions have to do with leadership and a more general interest or topics that they're contributing. So the personal commitment, some of it comes from their own passion. There are many, I'm sure all of you can name someone that they may have seen. Could it be the guy from Unilever, or maybe it's from the Interface carpets. They don't all have to be dynamic leaders. It's accomplishment we're looking for. And we know that sometimes leaders aren't necessarily the flashy guys or the flashy gals. It's really what are their contributions and how have they integrated that into their work as an executive in an organization, and how have they contributed beyond their organization. So not just so their organization thrives, but so that the society and the economy thrives as well. So I would say points 1, 3, and 5 are probably the most important here when we're looking at summarizing that person. So a bit of passion, they demonstrate some leadership, and they've overcome some challenges. And I think COVID-19 is probably a case many of the executives have had to deal with, as well as what they do beyond their organization. The achievement has to do with what can they show for their initiative. And this we're looking for how they do things. How did they go about accomplishing, and what did they actually accomplish? Now, impact measurement can be difficult, and we're not looking for necessarily all hard numbers, but how do you quantify, or how do you say what that impact was and who was impacted, right? Creativity often come in with this, innovation, could be partnerships as well. And then the second part is looking at promoting that culture in the day-to-day business of the organization they are in. A really important part of this, of the examiner's job, is looking at how well is sustainability integrated into the daily strategies or the long-term ambitions of the organization. So how does that organization see itself in the long-term society, right? What role does it play, and how is it going to become and stay relevant as stakeholder expectations may change? So it's really about how well you integrate and how well the initiatives you put forward in the application show that integration of how you see you fit in society. General contributions deal with the business community. And we know many leaders serve in many roles with Hong Kong MA or other organizations in town. And this may be other kinds of organizations as well. It may be personal. It may be personal organizations not necessarily associated with their business. They may be involved in some charity work or connected with some purpose outside of their business, and they can put this here. So for the organizational awards, these we're looking for examples for 2 years. So that's one difference you should pay attention to. Here you can see management commitment, stakeholder engagement. How does management take in information from stakeholders, and how do stakeholders input influence long-term strategies? Then you have the key elements, which is sort of like the technical nuts and bolts of sustainability. We have some showcases to demonstrate how that actually works in your organization. And then what is the impact of sustainability or the initiative on your business? All right, it's not just a showcase separate initiative, but it's actually something that is important to the long-term thriving of the business or its society. And you can see they do add up to more than 100. They are 105% on purpose. Right. So management commitment, many of these are the same as last year. We've highlighted in red where there's a new question. This is showing us what are those goals and being succinct and knowing how does sustainability fit. And then stakeholder engagement is about how do you integrate sustainability and communicate that to your stakeholders, and how do you bring stakeholder input or stakeholder views back into your management to review strategy. So some examples are stakeholders can help you find risk, stakeholders can give you feedback on products or trends for consumers, and then you're going to respond to changing your products over time to meet those trends. So that's really what we're looking at. And then there's some specific technical questions within that. Now, there's a lot of questions, and there's a lot of places where you can tick the box saying, yes, we do this, yes, we do this. We're not looking for everyone to tick every box, right? There's different types of organizations. There's large, medium, and small. That's going to make a difference. And not everything is important or relevant for every organization. So so don't feel bad if you're not ticking every box or putting a check in every box. That's not what we're looking for. That's not how you get points. It's not like you get 1 point for each check. We're really looking for how have you defined sustainability in your organization, what's important, and then what measures have you put in place, right? So I know, for instance, for the Jockey Club, we're sort of like a public body. So there are some personnel policies. We follow government. So we don't have some of these more progressive policies because ours are very much like government personnel policies. And that's what's appropriate for our organization. There are other programs that they have for staff, but some other private organizations I know are much more progressive in some of their personnel policies than we may be because of the way we run the business. Right? So we have a new question at number 9. This is about sustainable procurement. And it was put here because we recognize the importance of not just your own organization being sustainable or having programs and objectives and targets and seeking improvement, but how are we influencing our supply chain? Hong Kong, we import everything, so our supply chain is quite important. And we have a very strong influence in Hong Kong on the supply chain globally. So this is actually quite a good way to have impact beyond your organization. Here we're looking at communication with stakeholders. And you can see here are those boxes I referred to. You don't need to tick every one. We want to know which are the ones that are most important that work for you, that work for your stakeholders. And then it's optional. You can give details on how does your engagement with stakeholders impact your business? How do you bring that back into your company? What do you do with it? It is a short 150 words. And this is, like I said, the Board of Examiners. We're going to do the first screening. Well, then we will process those for the finalists, and the finalists will be interviewed. So if there's something here, might be something that then you would present at an interview. So don't go beyond the word length if possible. Most examiners will not read beyond 150 words because we have a lot of them to go through. Right? And we won't go to external links as well. So if you put in an external link, check out this page, odds are we won't have time to go and do the research. So do try to be succinct and put what you would say to us or what you would say to an examiner in this point, in this optional area to expound why you might select certain items. Here's the sustainable procurement question. And this one here, as in most of the questions, we've given a list of what are the most common kinds of initiatives or activities we're looking for. Right? So again, choose the ones that fit for your business and for your suppliers. And in the others, you can specify because you might have other things that aren't listed here. And like I said, we don't expect all of them to be checked. Here is the organization has launched initiatives to integrate sustainability within the organization. This is again getting back to this, how does sustainability impact your long-term strategies or the way you run your business? Again, you can see there's awareness campaigns, tying remuneration to sustainability. Are there KPIs? Are there penalties or bonuses or remuneration linked to certain outcomes? I think HSBC had one on their carbon outcomes. They had linked to executive remuneration. And then again, details if there are some that you would like to highlight. You can use bullet points. You don't need to give us long narratives. All right, and here's how do you make sure you provide sustainability training and development? because we know that sustainability is executed by all departments and in different ways by different departments. So how do you manage that process so that the aspirations and the objectives and strategies can be done, right? And on this, sustainability training and development programs. Consider that some of the training and development programs, you may not label them as sustainability, right? So you'll see in here a section on ethics is really about conduct as good ethical business practices. That's really part of being a sustainable enterprise, although it's probably called business ethics training, not sustainability training. I think one of the things we're looking for is how do you identify what are the most important topics in sustainability for your organization, and then make sure staff are prepared to help execute those. So for the club, for us, for instance, integrity is one of the fundamental, the biggest material topics we have, and we have a lot of training around integrity. Economic. So this is how does the business perform? A business needs to perform well in order to contribute to sustainability. And this is really how you manage governance. But I'm not going to go too far into those. Risk and crisis management. I think here sustainability plays a role in looking at your longer term risks. You know, how are those brought in? How do you manage crisis? These are the unforeseen events or the unplanned, such as COVID is a good example, but there are many other things that happen. It could be a disruptive technology. How are you looking to the future to make sure your organization can be relevant and sustainable? And then integrity and ethics. Economic dimension, you can see these are looking at long-term, beyond 3 years. What are your long-term goals? Not just your quarterly kind of returns you're seeking, right? And you can go through those. I'm going to highlight 24 and 25 are new, and that's about compliance with the laws and regulations within your own organization and your supply chain, again, extending our reach on the award consideration. And then also, how do you ensure you're complying with laws and regulations? And here's your business integrity and ethics. And if you have questions on these, you can contact Hong Kong MA because they are new this year. And then again, we have this optional area where if you've undertaken any charges, pledges, voluntary codes, perhaps you're with the Mekong Club or the Global Compact or something like that, that relates to these integrity and ethics. And we have an optional for you to elaborate. So you can tell the examiners why certain things apply or what you've done that you think is really exemplar. Social dimension, community investment. This is not just about money, it's about time. And how do we make the community stronger? And how do we make this community more resilient? So there's, you see there's the categories. There may be other types of community investment, and we welcome you to use the optional box to explain those. This is the people kind of things. Like I said, some of them may apply to a big organization, probably all of them, to a very small organization, maybe fewer of them. Of course, healthy and safe workplaces applies to all. Social dimension, here we're looking at how that community investment is directed. And how do you carry that out? Because we know that we have to partner in order to do that. So you'll see 27 is a new question. This is about code of conducts, managing business restructuring. 35, given the news lately, might be important for some organizations to think about that. Do you have plans for what do we do when the economy is suffering? Or we need to transition our business. And then work-life balance, wellness and health, particularly as we've gone video, how do we do that? There are probably many measures people have done. And at 45, the question has been amended, and we're looking at not just staff, but the family members of staff, because we know that a productive staff member is supported by a thriving or healthy family. So we're really looking at how do you connect beyond your staff to the families that support them. And again, we have the optional, please use that to add and explain initiatives that might be relevant to you. Here you can see we've added the staff column. and particular questions around MPF, which has become more of a concern to people of Hong Kong. Environmental, this one has not changed too much. We're looking at the measures on environmental improvement. What are your impacts and how do you mitigate those? Or how do you contribute to a better economy in the environmental sense? 52 and 53 have been amended. And these are about the design of your products or your services. And then also about how do you manage risks associated with environmental impacts. So some of climate change, if you've got a lot of, or it may be air pollution or health index might affect the way you manage your outdoor workforce. Right? And again, we have optional space where you can describe more fully what are the important environmental aspects to your business or what you've done on an important aspect. Here again, these are future risks. Now, by monitoring those, I think we're looking for which ones are most relevant to your business. You don't have to tick all of them. We all can't be following everything all the time. It's really about how have you identified what's important. And you can elaborate on that in the optional box if you like. Showcase. Now, the showcase initiatives used to be in each section. We've put them in a separate section. And these are really where we're looking for how do you demonstrate the management and the initiatives that you've described above. So all of these are worded very similarly, and this is a practice within the period of the last 2 years. And for this, I think you can add some PDFs. You can add some extra attachments. So we have social, economic, and environmental. Now, these dimensions are connected, so your example may actually even be connected itself. They don't have to be totally separate examples, but they may be showcasing different aspects. So your description of them may vary, but it may be a similar kind of example. COVID-19 is here, and you can see that one. I guess we can have more discussion if you're interested later, and then how you've implemented those measures. Okay. And then this one, the last section is about the impact. How does sustainability help your business be more productive? How does it ensure you have a thriving future, that you will be here in 10 years and 20 years, right? So it's not just one sustainable thing you do and then the rest of your business runs over here. It's really about how is it coming closer together, right? So that one, I think it's 15%. So we do weight it quite heavily in that bringing the story back together of how all of the things you've described above, how does it really help you become a more sustainable organization? And with that, I think we're finished with this section.
Thank you. With some questions on this iPad. Just to confirm, the application form goes live next Monday. 1st of November. 1st of November. Okay. So there are a few questions here. Let me try to answer them. If we have staff members who are not in Hong Kong, should I also count them in the number of employees that we have? Okay. So the guideline is you're a Hong Kong company, and if the management of your Hong Kong company is managing staff outside of Hong Kong, namely under your span of control, you should include them in the number of employees. Sort of related, can we use initiative initiated by our headquarters in US, but also implemented here in Hong Kong by the Hong Kong team? So, so of course, you're a Hong Kong company, you register yourself as a Hong Kong company. If there are certain policy and practices that is being rolled out from headquarters, but you as a Hong Kong company have to implement it, you can definitely report on your implementation effort. But as far as the policy is concerned, that is from headquarters, but not from Hong Kong. So that part, you cannot claim to be controlled by you. But the implementation, how well is it implemented in your Hong Kong company, can be definitely be used in the report, in the submission. What is your definition of social purpose organization? So our general definition is any organization whose primary purpose is to have social impact, driving social impact, whether it's social or environmental, is considered a social purpose organization. It can be charitable, it can be for-profit as well. So social enterprise falls under that definition. But the primary purpose is for driving social impact. Is it necessary to fill out all the questions?
Is it necessary? I think the form can be submitted without all of them filled in. So no, there is no hard requirement that all questions need to be filled in. Again, if, like I said, we're not looking at every box should have a tick in it. If there is a reason you haven't filled something in or where a question may not apply, particularly if you're non-for-profit or a social enterprise, you can explain that in the optional box. You can just put a short note, and as an examiner, that will help us understand why that section has less in it.
And I guess one of the purposes when we designed the questionnaire, it's very long, many questions, is actually a sort of an education process. When you go through filling the questionnaire, there may be some areas that you have not thought of. You don't need to fill in, but hopefully by just going through the questionnaire, you begin to learn a little bit about more about sustainability. What would you say is the key to winning the award?
Well, I don't know because I'm only an examiner. I don't choose the final awardees. But from the awards that I reviewed last year, the ones that I was I'm most impressed with were the ones where they were quite concise and they were quite they were able to articulate quite well why this initiative or why this aspect is important to their business. So for instance, for the Jockey Club, we have a academy, we have a Hong Kong Jockey Club College. Why is that Jockey Club College? It's not just a social benefit for our staff. Why is that important to our business? It's because we need a lot of hospitality staff and it's a very tight hospitality market. So you need to be able to explain why that initiative is important to the long-term success of your organization.
Yeah, let me supplement that. So definitely how sustainability is integrated within your business, how it actually links to your business performance. If you can articulate that well, that will definitely be one of the keys to success. For myself, the second point is if you can quantify some of your impact. So instead of just describing your initiative in general terms, if you can be more specific and concrete about some of the measurable impact, that will be good.
I think it's a good question for those sharing later.
How do you ensure all content submitted are true? Do I need to submit proof afterwards? So definitely the Secretariat has the right to give you a call to ask for evidence and proof of what you submitted. But at the initial submission, you don't need to give proof. You just need to be truthful as usual. But yeah, we reserve the right, HKMA reserve the right to ask for some proof of the information that you submitted. How long does it typically take to complete the entire application process? It depends on your organization. So if you're a small organization, maybe 1 or 2 person can fill it in. But for example, as we mentioned earlier, the organization application form has 6 sections. And we do expect maybe medium to larger company actually needs to gather information from different parts of the business. So it could take a little bit longer, but
I would personally recommend that since the questionnaire is actually designed not just to gather input for the award, but to also communicate what Hong Kong MA thinks are some practices or things that businesses should consider. I think you should build in some time, if you can, to share what you're going to submit in this award with your management, or can you let them see it and see the story that you're telling about sustainability in the business, and that might actually inspire them to either contribute to that award, or it might inspire them to think about maybe we should be doing some new things in the future. So perhaps build in a little bit of time to circulate this package within your business, maybe a week or two.
This one I need to. It seems difficult for an SME to fulfill all criteria. Would the chances of getting the award be very low? Disappeared. So definitely not. All SMEs, small or medium enterprises, are encouraged to submit their entry. The awards are, the applications are judged with your peers. So if you're a small organization, you will only be judged against all your peers with employee 50 or under. So you will not be judged against the largest corporation with 1,000 people. So your chance of winning, it's a level playing field. So that's just actually one of the design principle that we had. We want to make sure large organizations are there as well as SMEs. If the work of my company is more focused on environmental protection, will that affect my chances of getting the award? So it depends. Typically for large organizations, large enterprises, we do expect the entries coming in to be working on all dimensions of sustainability. But in the past, I think we've seen for the small enterprises working on a particular dimension intensely and passionately, we do see those entries as well. So it really depends on the size of your company.
Yeah, I think that the economic dimension would apply to all businesses. Even if you're a nonprofit or an NGO, you need to keep operating, right? So there are economic aspects that should apply to all. The social aspects could be your own staff, may not be as much in the community investment side, but perhaps the work you do has other social benefits that you can consider. And I think, again, it's make it appropriate for the business scale, the size, or what you deliver. Depending on the work you do will affect what kinds of contributions you would make from your business to society.
For the individual award, can I nominate myself as I'm the owner of the company? So the short answer is no. I would encourage you to ask one of your staff to nominate you, but you cannot nominate yourself. Any specific industry you are targeting in the award? What about past winners? Which industry they are from? So we are open to all types of organizations and industries. So as the list suggests, it can be charitable, it can be in construction sector, manufacturing sector, even government sector. We don't have an entry from government yet. Maybe this year we will.
Yeah, or services sector as well.
Yes. And actually last year we saw a few submissions from education, from schools. So yeah, we do encourage cross-sector sharing of how they view sustainability, whether you're a manufacturer or a school. Quite different.
The examiners list is, and you saw the judges, is from quite a diverse backgrounds. They're all from quite different industries, so I don't think there's one particular industry that is being targeted.
Do we have a Chinese version of the application form? Yes, we do. And we have a Chinese briefing session on 20th of November. Thank you. Shirley, I give this one to you. How do you judge applications from different industry that may not all cover the three dimensions equally? For example, a service company versus a manufacturing.
For the examiners, it's really looking at the, as I said earlier, how sustainability applies to that business. Have you defined that yourself? What are the most important aspects for your business? And what are the initiatives or programs you have in place to address those? So the examiners, I think from last year's experience or the last session's experience, actually they give a group of submissions are given to more than one examiner. So there might be 4 or 5 examiners reviewing that, and then we sit and discuss it. So if I don't necessarily have an expertise, I know the other examiners, I can come in and explore that topic a bit before we actually complete our review. So we do discuss these as examiners, and I rely on, and we have met, and we have quite lively discussions. We do exchange our views and our knowledge and experience to help us overcome those challenges.
Okay. Something about sharing the judging criteria. Where can we get the details of the judging criteria shown on the screen? It will be shared on the website, the HKMA website.
Yeah, the questions will be are exactly as stated in the application form as well.
If I'm not a department head of the company, can I go for the individual award?
I think maybe in this case, because not all organizations may have what they call a C-suite, or it might not be organized in that way. I think if you can explain your role within the structure of the organization could probably be the best way to address that. And I don't know, can they ask ahead of time before they submit, or is it something they should just put at the front part of their submission?
I think I would definitely encourage submission.
Okay.
It could, yeah, you can actually email or call HKMA for clarity on that, and maybe over the phone we can figure out whether it's eligible or not. Legible. But I think, as you said, it really depends whether the person plays a leadership role or not. That has led some changes in the organization and the community. A lot of questions. For entries that didn't make it to the final round, what were the missing elements or elaboration, and what suggestion would you offer to applicants? I think we do have, at the end of the award, we do have sharing sessions of these successful award winners. And I think hopefully through those sessions, you begin to see how other companies and how winners are being picked.
There are, I think you should remind, there are different levels of recognition. You have the grand award, the
Consistent award, as well as a certificate of excellence.
Right. So the certificate of excellence is to recognize those that have definitely started down this path, but may not be at the leader level yet. So I think the examiners are we're not looking to weed people out, but I guess leaving a lot of blanks would probably be something that would not encourage us that this organization is really serious, or we may not have enough information. But I have to also tell you that the last time when I was reviewing awards, I was overwhelmed by some where they just grossly went over the word limit. And I found that quite distressing. And that's why I just made it a rule that I'm going to read the first 150 or whatever the word limit is. And then if I felt that I needed to go deeper, I might make the time. But really, don't. If you go overwhelm a judge, it makes their job very difficult. So I do ask you to please be considerate.
Nice.
Yeah, when you're reviewing them, because length does not mean better.
Okay, maybe this one doesn't. Can a small subsidiary of a listed company apply as a small organization? If yes, it is not really fair to real SME as they have a lot more resources. Good question.
I think, we did pick up when we were examining or reviewing, we did look for what are the initiatives that came from this organization or what was fed to them. So we're looking at the leadership or the people that manage this organization and how they have done that. If it's controlled by a conglomerate or a bigger entity to the degree that that can't be articulated or you can't quite tell, we did view those with a bit of suspicion, and we did try to weigh that, particularly in the SME category, because we didn't want people or people being perceived as having an advantage just because they have a head office or another owner that might be influencing them. Really, we were looking at how smartly are they identifying sustainability initiatives or issues, and how do they integrate them in their business? How do they integrate them? So it's what does that entity do? If it's a subsidiary, how is that subsidiary perhaps taken that direction and made it fit them most appropriately? If you're just doing what the head office told you, it doesn't read so impressively.
Yeah, and another way to look at it, maybe it's a different angle, is a company with a lot of resources in the world still are not working on sustainability. So it doesn't matter how much resources you have to bring real impact. It takes more than just money. So it's, yeah. And there's another very interesting question. Leadership is and should be found at all levels. Why only recognize C-level leaders, but not more junior ones? So we definitely discussed this when the first time the award came up, when we introduced this category. So this statement is definitely true. There are leaders in organizations at all levels. We did try to decide whether it should be open up to all levels, but at the end we did choose C levels or leadership level, because first we want to compare leaders in the same category, that they have the same control of an organization. And secondly, we do believe the organization, how the organization behaves depends a lot on the top level. And we sort of see that a lot of the momentum and drive of organization, maybe their leaders at the lower level, but it can't embed in the whole organization because the top management is not committing to it or is not driving it. So we're definitely not saying that there's no leadership in sustainability for the people at different levels of the organization, but we want to put the focus on the top management, see whether they are really driving the organization. And I think they have maybe just one more. Let me see which one. Interesting one. If the initiative I use in the submission are still ongoing, is it okay if I just share the results in first stage?
Yes. Yes, how you're measuring that and what you're seeing as your interim results or initial results are definitely appreciated. And how you'll be looking at those longer term is also appreciated. That's where you can use the optional boxes.
So I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Our staff will actually try to answer some of the more technical questions, file size limit, etc. But I will close the Q&A section for now.